Hello, good evening, everyone. Hope you can all hear us pretty well. I'd just like to welcome you all to the industry-led meeting by Fishing in the Future. Just to give you just an overview, Fishing in the Future is a charity. It's led by fishermen and run by fishermen. We're here to share knowledge and build capacity within the industry to improve trust and relationships and to build a collaborative approach. Through these talks, we aim to bring interesting topics and speakers to fishermen and to the industry, and hopefully we'll be able to sort of gain more knowledge sharing through sharing of ideas. Everyone is so familiar with Zoom or anything like that now. Just a little bit of just housekeeping really. If everyone could keep themselves on mute until they wanted to speak. And then we've got the raise the hand or just wave at the screen, and I'm sure Emma will be and Hattie will be keeping a good eye out on anyone frantically waving. Hopefully it won't be that. We're going to go into the speakers. Each speaker is going to speak for 5 minutes, and then hopefully we'll have a good half an hour for the Q&A session at the end of it, and hopefully our speakers will be able to answer any questions that anybody has. The event is recorded. But it's not going to be sent out to, it's not going to be for public view, only for further research work and mainly for the presentation. So nobody's going to see their comments sort of aired or viewed further from this discussion. I think we're pretty much there. I'm going to hand over to our speakers, and our first speaker today is Mike. I think that's the order they want to go in, and then we'll be going to Karl and then Magnus, and then we'll be handing over to the Fishing Amateurs, which is Imogen. So, Mike, if you're ready, lead on.
Hello, my name is Mike Roach. I'm from the Holderness Fishing Industry Group. We're a fishermen's organisation based in Bridlington. Currently 32 members from across the Holderness region. We have vessels from 6 metres launched off the beach up to 15 metres bivy crabbers in our organisation. Predominantly lobster and crab fishery. Well, it is a lobster and crab fishery. We've been quite successful with the FISP fund, which is one of the reasons we're asked to come and talk to you today. We've got 4 projects currently running. We're going to talk a bit more in depth about the recent Part A project that was funded in the last round. So we've got a Part B, which is a fully funded research project up to, well, I think they've just changed the figures actually, but when we submitted it was up to £300,000 for fully funded research project over 2 years. We've got one looking at within creel catch dynamics and abundance estimates on the ground using camera technology. That's a collaboration with CFAS, Plotnek Sustainable Fisheries, Heriot-Watt University, Bangor University, and the Isle of Man Fisheries. So it's quite a big project. And that's one that HFIG is lead on. So it's a fishing industry organisation leading on that project. Another project we're working with our local IFCA. This is looking at the European Lobster Settlement Index, looking at if we can quantify settlement of lobsters onto the ground and then create a predictive model so we can predict recruitment into the fishery in the future. That's a joint project between us and North Eastern IFCA. We're co-investigators. And then we've got 2 feasibility studies funded. One is looking at a lost gear initiative. And the other one, I'll hand over to Karl shortly to talk about the stone crab feasibility study as well. All these ideas have come from talking to fishermen coming into our office, having a cup of coffee, having a chat, of things that concern them. So, prime example, stock assessments for crab and lobster are done from quayside landings. We know nothing about what's going on the ground. So we were working with CFAS to help them develop some technology for a couple of years. And when this opportunity arose, we decided to spin it up into a full research project. And the difference with this fund is the fishing industry needs to be a full partner in the project. Not somebody that an academic just hired to go and haul a few pots or do a couple of tours. The fishing industry partners are full partners in the project and should be, and hopefully try to push the agenda, and the questions should come from us guys. And for that, we need to collaborate. So the FISP fund mandates a fishing industry partner and an academic partner as the bare minimum. Some of our projects, we've got several of each, but the bare minimum, we need one of each. And that's to ensure that the fishing industry is included, and the science that's conducted is at a scrutable level. It's at a level that's designed and robust enough to stand up to critique. And that's where your academic partner comes in. That academic partner is essential. For us, it has been people we know, people we've worked with in the past, people we trust. That helps. If you don't have anyone like that, the FISP network do have a cohort of academics that fit that criteria. And they've got to be someone you work well with. So, for example, we've got this project with Magnus. Magnus was instrumental in setting HFIG up 12 years ago, and putting key people in contact with the fishery and things like that. So it's important, if you do proceed with a project, to proceed with someone you can work well with and that you can trust. They've got the fishery's best interest at heart as well. And the final thing I'll say is a stumbling block that a lot of people have come up against with the submission process, because it is a pain in the neck, I'm not going to lie. The portal that you have to apply for the funds through is onerous. Shout out to the FISP network again there. I know they're going to talk about that later, but they're there to help the fishing industry do that. But the key thing is to link to the objectives of the Fisheries Act. That is something that the few people I know that haven't been able to get funded through this have slipped up, where they have got a good idea, but in their paperwork, they haven't been able to link it to the Fisheries Act. So the key objectives we're looking at is the sustainability objective, precautionary objective, or the ecosystem objective, scientific evidence, bycatch. They're all just Google Fisheries Act objectives, and you can drop down each of the objectives and see where your project will fit. So, for example, ours fit into the scientific objective and the sustainability objective. So we could tell DEFRA straight away our project fits the criteria of the Fisheries Act, and that's what we're looking for. So that's probably a key bit of advice, is find a partner you can work well with and that's going to treat you as a full partner, and make sure your applications tick those boxes. What I'll do now, I'll hand over to Karl. Karl was instrumental in putting the stone crab project forward, so I'll hand over to Karl and let him take it from there. Thanks.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now.
My mic wasn't working. Hi, my name's Karl Price. I'm the skipper and owner of the Isabella M. Like Mike says, a few lads catching a bit of stone crab further north, and the question I wanted to ask was, is this going to be a sustainable fishery that we could maybe tap into? Nobody's really commercial fishing it, so the question asked was, can it be done? So Rob was up from Fishing Amateurs, and I asked the same question to him, and we took it from there. And then they helped to put us together with, obviously, Mike, who I already worked with anyway, and pulled Magnus in. And so we're in the preliminary stages of it. There's not much input from me yet. Obviously, when we get further down the line, then it becomes more onto me than the academics. But at the moment, they're doing quite a lot of the legwork in the background. And I find it was a very easy process. It was quick. I didn't expect it to be as quick and easy as it was, to be fair. Yeah, I don't really know what to say yet, because until we get going with it, it's interesting, and I'm looking forward to it, sinking my teeth into something different.
That's great, Karl. Did you just when you met Rob, do you think meeting Rob Poole and the amateurs getting about the coast like they did, do you think that was sort of a key thing? Do you think that was maybe, as well as your ideas, do you think that was something else that helped light the fuse?
Definitely, and it was an informal chat, just having a cup of tea, and it was in the HFIG office. I think we were talking about something else, and I just dropped it in the conversation. And Rob sort of pricked his ears up a little bit, and he said, I think it's something that we could do. And it literally spanned from that, and it was literally a conversation while having a cup of tea, and that's how it all started. And we managed to get to the first round of the funding, so it's all good.
Right, thanks, Karl. That's great. Okay, Magnus, you can.
Thanks, David. Yeah, Karl's just described an important part of my career so far, which has been to listen to fishermen and nick their ideas. So, I mean, quite a lot of what I've done is listen to fishermen, relate what they tell me into language that goes into other arenas. I love doing it. I mean, it's a real privilege, really, to work with fishermen. That yapping in the background is a dachshund. I'm going to kill it in a minute. This project is a really easy one to get started, really, because there was quite a lot of stuff there already, because Holderness Fishing Industry Group are a strong unit, and like Karl said, him and Mike know each other already. I've known Mike for a long time, and I think Mike's absolutely bang on when he says work with people you can trust, and that was an important part of getting things moving. Mike and I know how each other work, really, so it was a case of when we were getting a proposal together, he'd spoken to Karl, he'd put the bones down on paper, and a lot of the things that he'd picked up on previously about that he was mentioning, the key phrases that need to be in there to impress DEFRA. I'm not so good at them, but I can get really enthusiastic about stone crab and distributions and some of the geekier aspects of the project. So our role, really, and it's working with Mike, will be to sort of look into the background, find out what we can about distribution of the animals, as is known at the moment, look at the global, stone crab are caught all over the world, so we'll look at how other people do it. And there's a really nice PhD thesis out of Dalhousie University, I think it is. We'll use that as a source, as for some of our work. So there's advantages to me as an academic working with fishermen here, because through Mike, I get a sort of direct link into guys I've been working with for a long time, on and off, not all the time, but on and off. But for them, in terms of the way this project works, working with the university is quite good in terms of the way the finances work, because we can pay out before the final grant payment comes through. So hopefully that will make things a bit easier. It's early days yet in the project. I'm really looking forward to seeing some interesting results out of it. One of the things that we've been able to do is bring in some different expertise. So one of my colleagues is an expert in geographical information systems, and what he can do is look at the seabed across the North Sea and look at the distribution of crabs across the North Sea and try and tie up the two and look out for the things that might affect the distribution of the animals, and maybe point to new places where it might be worth looking. Now, Karl's already got ideas from his knowledge of the fishery and his sort of on the water knowledge of where people could look for these crabs, but it's quite nice to back that up with some sort of academic input as well. Supporting each other, really. And as the project goes forward, it'll be a case of talking to all of us, talking amongst ourselves and sharing information, and quite often I'll suggest something that I'm sure Karl go, nah, that's rubbish. That's where did you get that from? You're dreaming, and we'll sort of, that's the way when I've worked with fishermen in the past, quite often they'll say, no, Magnus, that doesn't work. But every now and again there'll be a good idea that comes out, so I'm looking forward to that. And one of the other great things about these projects is that they strengthen links, and there's this funding scheme at the moment, but in 3 or 4 years' time, what's the next funding scheme going to be? And if you've already got those links built, you've already got those partnerships made, then you're ready for the next thing. And I encourage people to put bids in, and even if they fail, don't be too disappointed. I live this stuff. Quite often you'll put a bid in for some money and then not get it. But then you've still got that project idea sitting there, and when the next fund comes around, it might be something that suits that fund better. So keep your eye on that. And I think the role of the animateurs here, quite often, as well as making the links, is understanding the different pots of money that are around. Because I see certain pots as an academic. Mike will see other pots that I don't see sometimes, because he's got a sort of kind of in-betweeny he's part academic, part on the ground fisherman, you know, and then the animateurs will be aware of a sort of broader range of pots that we can bid into. So it's all about working together, making partnerships, strengthening them, and thinking not just about this project, what's going to happen in 5 years' time. I think that's enough for me. Unusually short for me.
That's great. Thank you, Magnus. And it's just really great to see such a good relationship between, you know, science and industry, and just to see how that really does bear fruit. It's a really exciting project. Can't wait to see some of the results you get. I've just gone on your Facebook
so no, it's
page
different. So you're saying science and industry, they're not. That's like the two different things. It's not really, is it? It's a continuum from on the water catching stuff through to the sort of academic end. There's a lot of crossover there. So really that we don't exploit enough, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And a lot of shared knowledge to learn there, you know, from a fishing potential, economic potential, everything, and back the other way. So I think it's really important now to hear from the amateurs, and we've got Imogen here to talk us through, because it sounds like they had a real key role with getting this started, and it sounds like, you know, this project was just one of these happy circumstances where everyone just came together and worked really well, and I think there's a lot to learn from this. So Imogen, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, David. So yeah, I'm Imogen. I work for the Fishing Animateurs project. We're a small team of 3 set up to support fishermen with the need to help navigate government grant schemes. In the past, generally support small-scale coastal fishers navigate schemes to do safety projects or add value to their catch. But recently, with Emma at Fishing for the Future and a Fishmongers company, we've set up this Fishing Industry Science Partnership network, which Emma will talk about more in a minute. So the idea of the network is to take these ideas from industry and turn them into proposals and ultimately apply for funding under the FISP grant scheme. So the FISP grant scheme is a £10 million government grant scheme with 4 themes. So these themes are fisheries data collection, so this is things like stock assessments, mixed fisheries and selectivity, so this is technical measures to reduce bycatch, environmental impacts of aquaculture, and then they've just added a new one which is a bit broader. So this is looking at factors which impact on fishing opportunities and adaptations. So this can be researching lots of things that affect fish stocks, such as renewable developments or the impact of climate on stocks or underwater noise, for example. So I'll just go through the criteria of the scheme, how to apply, and how we're here to help with that. So to get the funding, you've got to bid for a contract through DEFRA, and all projects that go into this scheme have to be a partnership between a fish industry and science. At the moment, the funding rates are between 50,000 and 500,000 a year, and contracts are available for up to a maximum of 2 years. This current round is open until the 5th of September, so it's a bit tight, but there will be one more round open on the 21st of November up until the 5th of January 23. So how we can help and how to apply is that firstly, just start off a conversation with us to talk about the idea. I'll leave my contact details in the notes. And then we can check if that project is eligible and if it will fit into the FISP scheme. If it doesn't fit into the FISP scheme, we're happy to explore other funding opportunities such as the Seafood Innovation Fund or the Fisheries and Seafood Scheme or anything else that's out there at the time. And then as a network, we've got a good network of scientists, so we'll try and link the applicant with the scientist. And from there, we can support the partnership in building a research proposal for the project with industry and academics. As Mike said earlier, the online system is a little bit onerous. So that's what us as a Fishing Animateurs are mostly here to support with. So we can help set the partnership up with an online portal to apply through and turn those research proposals into the format that DEFRA want to see. And then about 8 to 10 weeks later, after putting an application, you find out if you've got the funding. So yeah, that's just a general overview of what we can do to help. Oh, also there is a a requirement for match funding as well, but that's also something that the network can help support with. I think Emma's going to talk about in a minute. So yeah, hopefully that summarised it for you, and I'll hand over to Emma.
Share my screen because Hattie's made 2 really nice graphics actually that I want to put up. So let me just get these up, and I can go through. Alison from Fishmongers to talk through this bit, but she's away at the moment. She's on holiday, she's on leave, so I don't usually talk in these, but here I am. I'm Emma. I'm the director at Fishing Into the Future, but I like to leave it to Dave or another one of our fishing trustees usually to run and speak at these events. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what the FISP network is and how it's related to the available funds that Karl, Magnus and Mike's project has got, and that Imogen's just run through. So you've got the Fishing Industry Science Partnership funding. So obviously this scheme that have grants available. I might have got the wrong amount in there, Imogen, but take Imogen's information as correct, because she's got a lot more information in her head about the FISP funds than I actually do, to carry out, to either do a feasibility project to develop the research idea, or to carry out a full research project. And then obviously this is amazing. You've got this huge potential of funds, you've got money, and then you've got the potential to carry out research that can influence future management on your fishery, which is just an amazing potential. But then you've got this barrier of turning an actual idea into a project. And it was just a bit like Karl said, it was like serendipity, just mentioned an idea and it got picked up on, it got turned into a project. So we see this barrier of, we've been told that the whole process is daunting, it's complex, and worst of all, it's off-putting. So if you just leave it to people in the industry to come up with an idea and then follow through with it, I think a lot of them actually wouldn't come to a head without this extra support that we're putting out there. So we've created this coalition to make the FISP fund more accessible, and then to also spread the word about the FISP funding. So we are the FISP network. We're supporting your application to the FISP scheme. The animateurs have done an amazing project of spreading the word about the FISP fund. So we only do so much. We put things out on social media and we do talks like this, but I know that a vast proportion of the fishing industry do not join Zoom meetings or look at Twitter. So the Fishing Animateurs travelled all around the country basically to spread the word on the FISP project, the FISP scheme, listen to ideas, and then connect people, and they'll actually also support the writing and the submission of bids, which is just amazing. Fishing Into the Future, what we do is we listen to the ideas, and then we can connect you to the right people. We can help develop ideas, chat them through, and we can also support the facilitation of the project. So if you need any help getting people together, communicating and keeping momentum, we're here and we can do that. We've got a great variety of people on our board of trustees that I can reach out to, which is just a really invaluable resource for taking these things forward. And then Fishmongers, I've got to give credit where it's due. It was Alison that came up with the idea for the FISP network, and she also is a great person to connect people, and also Fishmongers can provide the match funding. So that's just a little bit of an overview of what we do as the FISP network, and just, you know, to ask you to promote it and use it, because that's what we're here for. So I shall stop sharing, and I think we head back over to Dave. Well, Dave should know where we head after me.
Yep. Thank you, Emma. And I'd just like to thank all of the speakers. Some great tips. Really great project that you're going to be starting. It's quite exciting that this type of work is getting done in the industry, and it's really great that the FISP project is there. Encouraging this. I don't know whether it was designed by the government to do that, but the result is that you've got fishermen collaborating really well with scientists, and there's funding there to do that, and you've got now a team, a network behind that to help it all happen. So it's just fantastic. So